Well, in this chapter, we're introduced officially to Dr. Hogback, and I tell you, there's more than meets the eye with this guy. The lipstick is going to come off the pig, and quickly.
Yo ho 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 ho, One Piece chapter 446, Dr. Hogback.
Well, hello, my brothers and sisters and skeletons and recently deceased and come back to life zombies of the Nerd Nation. I, as always, am Jim, and I'm here to bring you another review on the awesome and thrilling and barking tale of One Piece. Now, our last chapter, of course, saw Nami, Usopp, and Chopper pretty much winding up being abandoned in the cemetery and running for their lives from what appeared to be zombies and making it to the castle that was, I guess, located in the central part of the island that they're on the island of Thriller Bark. And really, that's how the chapter ended off with them kind of being at the doors of it. So, the doorstep to it, you know. And so that's how things left off, and that's right where things pick up over here. And this was an interesting chapter, to say the very least, and I kind of like the vibe that I'm getting from here. I'm getting sort of, you know, I know that there's a lot of throwbacks that Oda does to different American pop culture. We've seen it throughout the series so far, and I just really feel like a lot of this is just, it just sort of feels like the Michael Jackson Thriller video, you know? It seems kind of like a throwback to some of the movies like Transylvania. What was that one? Transylvania 9000, I think it was called, or something like that. A movie that came out in the late 80s, early 90s. A little bit campy, you know, but really kind of, so there was some humor in it, but it was also kind of supposed to be like this cool sort of B-horror movie, you know. Very, very cool stuff. As things start out, they see the entrance to the castle, they see the doors open, they go in, right? And so they walk in there, and they see a well, and a spooky looking well, and all of a sudden, this figure appears, you know, it scares the shit out, of course. You know, Usopp and Chopper are very scaredy cats to begin with, I guess you would say. And, you know, and Nami's not a whole lot better. I mean, she's seen some shit, but it isn't like she's, you know, it isn't like she's really accustomed to it, you know. Whereas Luffy and Zoro and Sanji, for the most part, just shake a lot of that crap off. You know, they're like terrified of these little things. So all of a sudden she appears and she's, like, hello. And she starts tossing plates at Usopp. 1 plate, 2 plate, 3 plate, 4 plate. And she's targeting just him, right? And she's like, you two may enter, but not you. And I don't know why Usopp can't enter. Who knows what the deal is with that? She's tossing them at him. All of a sudden they hear a voice from somewhere and says, Sindri, stop that, you know? And then we're introduced to Dr. Hogback, right? Really kind of goofy looking character. Almost looks like, Tweedledee and Tweedledum from Alice in Wonderland. Very tiny, thin legs, big clown-like feet, and kind of a big rotund body with this sort of like penguin. Almost reminds me of like Penguin, like the penguin from the from the Batman animated series. Very cool looking and very distinct looking, I should say, instead of cool looking. So anyway, the introductions take place, and basically they're like, listen, dude, we got chased here by zombies, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, oh my god, I can't believe you survived. And they're like, hold the phone here, man. What's the deal with this? We saw all kinds of strange creatures, zombies, whatever, right? Because he introduces himself as the world-famous Dr. Hogback, right? And he goes and he just straight up lies to him. And you know he's lying because he just says, no, I don't know anything about that, right? So Chopper kind of like leads him and surmises that maybe Dr. Hogback is there researching zombies, right? And that's what, and Hogback's like, oh yeah, definitely, because everyone's lost a loved one. Everyone would like to see someone be brought back to life, right? It would make thousands and thousands of people happy if we could do it. But in the medical world, it's a big taboo type thing. So even though he's this world-famous surgeon and everything, it's not, it's frowned upon, right? So then you kind of get the feeling that maybe he was brought here, forced here, or he came of his own volition, his own free will, because he wanted to go and work on some research that was taboo to the regular world, right? So Sindri keeps tossing plates, and he's like, listen, you gotta stop that shit. You just gotta stop that shit. You know, so, I don't know. Apparently, there's some kind of backstory with her about she was engaged once to a wealthy man, and she wanted to see how strong his love was, so she broke 10, you know, plates that he had, commemorative, family, heirloom-type plates, and he wound up breaking off the engagement with her, and she was shamed forever, and something about putting boogers on her face, or some weird type of crap. So, some of that stuff I kind of don't get. I don't really know if they're being serious or, I mean, for me it just meant to kind of as comic, you know, a comical type of thing, but, you know, whatever, to each his own. So as things wind up progressing, he goes and he offers them some flan, which is basically like a pudding, you know, and they wind up having to eat it off the table because there's no plates because of crazy-ass Sindri breaking them all the time, right? They don't get a ton of information, but when Chopper goes and asks if he can have a peek into Dr. Hogback's laboratory, Dr. Hogback gets, like, right up in his face, and he's just like, "No one may ever enter my laboratory." And I'm like, holy fuck, okay, dude, right? So he's obviously hiding something. We know that he's not on the level. He goes and he winds up telling him, he says, listen, you know, Sindri had prepared the baths, and Nami goes, and we get the obligatory Nami in the shower scene, right? And again, fan service, whatever you want to call it. Listen, I like tits just as much as the next guy. You know, hell, I know girls that like tits. It's fine. They're wonderful, okay? And Oda draws them very nice in here. But we get to see 2 or 3 different shots of Nami, you know, in certain parts, the nipples, of course, cleverly disguised by soap or bubbles or just turned the right way. But while she's in the shower, she's got Usopp and Chopper outside the door guarding her, right? And they're like, what's the deal? Why do we even have to guard you? Why are you even taking a shower? And she's like, oh, I can't believe it. You got touched by zombies. And they're like, we're just going to get dirty again, right? So, again, even Usopp and Chopper are like, okay, this is just an obligatory Nami in the shower scene, right? But the whole deal is when Dr. Hogback came in and closed the door behind him, I think that invisible character that was on the ship, that was on the Thousand Sunny or whatever, that tried, you know, licking or whatever Robin, I think that's the same character or whatever that you have here, whatever this thing is, because this unseen, unknown force, there was a quick little thing, I almost didn't catch it until I looked really close in the chapter, and then I saw that Dr. Hogback lets this dude in, you know, even though he's invisible, and closes the door. Nami's in there, she's in the shower, and she's telling about their plan. Listen, this guy is not on the level, and afterwards, you know, we're going to take off. Later on tonight, we're just going to take off and get back to the ship, you know. So, as this is all going on, and Usopp, he toots, he blows a fart, man. He's got a little ass gas. His asshole's leaking, you know, whatever. So, the flan was not too good. Maybe he had nachos on the ship earlier. I don't know, right? Not my business. But, so anyway, so his ass is a tootin', and him and Chopper are kind of goofing around, giggling about it and stuff. And all of a sudden, Nami goes, and this invisible character goes and grabs her. So, first she hears a growl, then she hears a voice, right? And then she gets her arms pinned up against the wall. Again, obligatory, oh, I almost saw Nami's tits scene. And she's back, pinned up against the wall. She's trying to call for help. This thing puts its hand over her mouth and says, I like you better than the other one on the ship. So then we know that the connection is, obviously, it's that same character, because you're not as strong. I'm going to make you my bride, right? So anyway, Nami is able to go and force it off enough and get Chopper and Usopp to come in there. She's able to kick this thing in the nuts. Usopp is over here bowing, going, oh, thank you for this, Nami, thank you. Like, she called them in for a free show, right? You know, I've been living with you guys on a ship for a while, but we're in this spooky-ass Count Chocula type of castle over here, and now I'm going to show you my tits, Usopp, right? Anyway, so, and then, it's so funny because she's talking about this invisible person, she kicks him and everything, and Chopper's like, oh yeah, I do smell something, and Usopp's like, oh really, was it that bad? And he's like, it's not your fart, Usopp. So it's the cute comedy that comes out that I really enjoy too in the series. But anyway, you know, the whole idea is whatever this thing was winds up escaping out the window. Usopp tries to hit it with an exploding star, and it pretty much just leaves them off on a, hey, we're screwed because now whatever it was overheard us and overheard our plan, right? The chapter winds up wrapping up with a couple of pages. We go back to the Thousand Sunny, and basically, you know, everybody who's left for the most part. I think they left Frankie on the ship because you got Robin, you got Luffy, you got Sanji, and you got Zoro, and they, you know, to me that's like the powerhouses right there. They're all off the ship now. I guess the ship and Brook's ship are caught in some giant ass spider web. So is the Mini Mary. They wind up coming down those stairs into that little like trench or whatever behind the wall, and they wind up encountering Cerberus, the dog. And it was so funny because the last page of this is just great, just so key. I mean, it's just so perfect for these, for them. We see it. Oh, it's Cerberus. It was probably safer in hell, Sanji says. And then we get, my, how cute from Robin. And then we get, is that thing picking a fight with us? You know, from Zoro. You know, Zoro, he wants a cheeky little thing, isn't he? You know, Zoro always wants to just slash some shit up, right? And then we get Luffy's like, hey, do you think it tastes good? Oh, you know what? Actually, I see Frankie there. So Frankie did come off the ship. I didn't notice him the first time I saw that panel, because it really is. It's only like 2 pages here for the end of it. So that's how things leave off over there. My chapter question for you, though, brothers and sisters. Really, I guess it's, what are your thoughts on the introduction to Dr. Hogback? What do you think about this guy? Do you think he's on the level, or do you think he's hiding something, or do you think he's just sort of quirky, or what? Leave your answer to that question in the comments down below. Feel free to hit the thumbs up, the like button if you should think that I deserve it, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. We'll look forward to catching all of you in the next one, Nation.
So, I am here because of you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for watching.